Continuing coverage now in the ongoing controversy surrounding the firing of former Spokane health officer Dr. Bob Lutz. New findings suggest that Health District Administrator Amelia Clark may have broken state law in the process.
So those findings were laid out in a preliminary investigation just made public. KREM 2's Casey Decker has details about what investigators found and what happens next.
The report was commissioned by the State Board of Health, which earlier this year voted unanimously to look into whether Amelia Clark broke the law here. The central question, did she in fact remove Bob Lutz from his role as health officer before he could have a hearing and without a public vote of the Spokane Regional Health District Board? Both things are required by state law to remove a health officer. On October 29th, Lutz had a meeting with Clark. What exactly happened in that meeting is debated, but at the end of it, Lutz was escorted from the building and his access to SRHD systems was revoked. Over the next few days, there was severe confusion about whether Lutz had been fired, had resigned, was on some sort of suspension, or was still working as health officer. It wasn't until November 5th that the SRHD board had a public meeting in which they eventually voted 8-4 to fire Lutz. So the basic question here, was Lutz health officer between October 29th and November 5th? If not, state law might have been broken. Lutz has long stated he was not. In an unusual press conference, Clark initially also stated he was not. But after blowback, she later claimed that he had merely been put on administrative leave and that she had not fired him, but rather told him to resign or face a board hearing. If that was true, her actions would have been lawful. So who was right? Well, investigators said more or less the evidence sides with Lutz. The only other person in the room during that fateful meeting was SRHD board chair Ben Wick. He said he believed Clark told Lutz to resign, but also that he thought she may have said something about some sort of suspension. However, two other people interviewed by investigators say immediately after the meeting they spoke with Clark and she told them Lutz had been terminated. And regarding administrative leave, Lutz was in fact paid through November 5th, and SRHD staff confirmed revoking system access is normal for such leave. However, the HR director says Clark didn't ask her to place Lutz on leave until November 2nd. Investigators concluded that at the end of the day, it seems clear Lutz was not acting as health officer between October 29th and November 5th. The report reads, quote, "These facts support a preliminary finding that Ms. Clark removed Dr. Lutz as the local health officer. Further, since Dr. Lutz was not given notice and an opportunity to be heard before the SRHD board prior to his removal, the facts support a preliminary finding that Ms. Clark refused or neglected to obey or enforce state law." So, what happens now? Well, these findings aren't by any means final or binding. The report merely goes to the State Board of Health. They'll review it in a meeting scheduled for May 27th. Then they can essentially choose to do one of three things. 1. Decide Clark did not break the law and close the case. 2. Decide that she may have and hold a hearing to decide for sure. If they conclude she did, they may decide to remove her as administrator. And 3. Ask for more information before proceeding. One final fun note here, Lutz actually sits on that state board. However, he was not involved in discussions or votes about his own case in the past, and we don't expect he will be in the future. Casey Decker, KREM 2 News.
Now, we did also reach out today to Dr. Lutz. He did decline to comment. Administrator Amelia Clark also declined to comment when we asked, as did the spokesperson for the State Board of Health.
Meantime, just moments ago, we received a statement from the current SRHD board chair, Mary Cooney. It reads in part, quote, "Dr. Lutz could not have been terminated on October 29th because he continued to receive his full pay and benefits until termination by the SRHD board on November 5th of 2020. He was placed on administrative leave," unquote. That, of course, does not line up with what the preliminary investigation found. As you just heard from our Casey Decker, the report suggests the leave was retroactive and that Lutz was in fact terminated on October 29th.